temperature is rising at the Misano World Circuit on the Adriatic coast of Italy for the second of the GT4 European Series races at Misano. Wonderful racing, an hour lies ahead of us. Who's going to come out on top? The grid, of course, completely jumbled because the second driver in a pairing set the qualifying position, set the grid position for the race, and they will kick off. 40 degrees track temperature, humidity staying lower today than it was yesterday, but it was a blistering day yesterday, so tyre life is going to be absolutely vital. But of course, with a packed grid of cars, 35 coming out to play. Look at them, filling the grid and more. And some of the quick runners are right down at the back, including that KTM you can see, possibly one of the quickest cars in the field, definitely one of the quickest cars in the field, but it didn't set a qualifying lap. And so we're going to have some real racing action as people work back towards the front and people at the front try and stretch clear, and a fantastic mixture of cars. Here's this for a taster. We've got the Mercedes on the front row in pole position, Jan Kissel. He's got a BMW alongside for Ricardo van der Ende, a Chevrolet in third position, Duncan Heisman, another BMW in fourth, a Ginetta in fifth, an Alpine in sixth, and so it goes on. Fantastic manufacturer variety in the GT4 European Series, a championship that just goes from strength to strength. And if you're Dutch, you're probably feeling fairly proud with the drivers at the front end of the grid, because you've got two of the first three drivers, but it's pole, Jan Kissel on that pole position. Appears to be missing the car from fourth on the grid at the moment, which is should be Gabriele Piana. May waited to find out, but let's go down to the grid because Dakota has caught up with Jan Reinig down on the grid, car number 777.
Yes, I found the tallest man on the grid. Jan, how tall are you actually?
2 meters 13.
So is it difficult to drive?
I mean, yeah, because the Mercedes is the only car where I fit inside, so I think it's a little bit difficult, but at the moment we can manage it good, so it won't be a problem. Yesterday
was a really tough race. How do you think today is going to go?
Yeah, yesterday was very tough, but I think today it could be a little bit better for us because we're standing, I think, 4 or 5 rows more in the front. So if my colleague has a good start, we will have better chances than yesterday. Yeah, we just have maybe problems with the tires because of the hot weather and the sun. They're getting worse every round. So yeah.
So you're trying not to break tires today?
Yeah. I told my colleague he should drive a little bit slower than he can, so I won't have too many problems when I'm out there.
Let's see how it goes. Good luck for the race. Thank you very much, Jan.
Thank you, Dakota. Just worth reiterating, the Dutch are the tallest nation in the world, and he's one of the tallest Dutchmen. That's Jan Reinig, sharing with Dominic Schrammel for Schrader Motorsport, 2 meters 13. That makes me feel really tiny. Now, the Ginetta, 5th place on the grid, looking for a good run. New teammate this weekend, Jose Catalan and Luc Ibanez, Jorge Catalan. And great little car, very, very nimble. Used to be lots of them in GT4. They've sort of fallen out of favour a little bit, but Ginetta, a company always looking for new things. But a car that's definitely in favour at the moment is the Alpine, the A110. It's such a glorious little car. There it is, number 9, always in the mix, that combination. Stefan Lemeray this weekend joining Pierre-Alexandre Jean. Pierre, another super young driver, only 18 years old. This is his 3rd season in the championship and been very, very quick from the outset. So driver of real talent. Still can't get over 2 meters 13. That is a really large person to fit into a racing car. But great that GT Racing affords drivers like Jan Reinig there a chance to come racing. Single-seaters are absolutely out. They're not made for drivers over probably about 1 meters 85, to be honest. Car 25, Alec Udell started that. The American racer has just had such an amazing season. He's already got a couple of wins in the bag, having crossed over to race in Europe this year, racing for the MDM Motorsport team, sharing with Simon Knapp. And let's go down to the front row of the grid alongside the car at pole. We've got Max Kobel with Dakota.
Max, what a lovely day here it is. You're starting on pole, no better place to be, right? How's this race going to play out for you? You think you got your tyre strategy correct?
Yeah, yesterday we had some issues when we had the group. I was starting P7, and yeah, we have some heat issues when we are right next to someone, which we really need to be careful. I think the other cars also have the problems with this immense heat now. But yeah, we have the speed, and I think if Jan does his job like in Brands Hatch race too, we can get the result as well. So yeah, P1 is really the goal, especially now that the McLaren didn't finish yesterday. And now starting P17, so we can really get some good points for the championship.
Now tell me, is it difficult to manage tyres when you know you want to go as quick as possible, but you know if you go as quick as possible, you may not have tyres by the end of the race?
Yeah, it's a bit, it's difficult. At the beginning, you really need to push, of course, and especially now with the Equus car and the Camaro, they're fast and they're always pushing. But I think if we have some good times for the second part of the race, we'll be okay. That's always our biggest strength. The first part is always a bit difficult for us. But yeah, our tire degradation not that much, also here with the heat. So maybe that's our advantage.
Good luck, thank you.
Interesting point there from Max Cobalt about the car that's leading the championship when they came here. Daniel Mackay and Benjamin Lecen had a good race yesterday, but suddenly fell away. They're starting down in 17th, and the car that won yesterday's race is alongside 18th position on the grid. Alex Lamberts and Romain Monti, their Bullet Racing Mercedes, a first win for the Spanish team yesterday, but you say from 18th on the grid, that's going to be a massive ask. Car I just wanted to point out right at the start, number 16, starting at the very tail of the grid, 32nd position, the True Racing KTM. Let's see. So Kisiel and Cobalt, we just heard that they took the lead of the championship yesterday with the McLaren coming away with nothing. Simon Knapp and Alec Udell just going stronger and stronger. They're second. Dan McKay and Benjamin Lecen tumbling to third. But look, 95, 93, 91. It's super, super close on points. This race at Misano is going to be quite pivotal in the championship. Particularly, you need consistent number of points coming in. And for the McLaren crew that was leading when we arrived in Italy, they are going to struggle even to pick up a point today. So things will keep changing, but who's going to lead into the first corner? Will it be Jan Kisiel? We will see. In the Pro-Am honours, it's Marcus Pavrus and Lucy Treft, just having a really strong season for Lippert Motorsport. But Marius Sug, Gabriele Piana closing in. Alain Ferté, Grégoire Demoustier, there was a spin or something early on that dropped Alain Ferté down to the tail of the grid, so they lost a bit of ground. But the top two, well, we'll see who's on top at the end of the afternoon. Now let's take a look at the grid. Going down on the Segway will glide past the front row, which is Lippert Motorsport Mercedes and the Ecris Motorsport BMW. Started by Jan Kisiel from Poland and Ricardo van der Ende, the Dutch perennial. Second row, only one car in it because we don't have the Marius Sug Gabriele Piana car, the Pro-Am car. That is not here. Is that going to start from pit lane? We will see. Duncan Houseman, though, will kick off. Another tall Dutchman in a big, powerful car. That's the V8 Racing Camaro. Then the little Ginetta with Jorge Catalan and Pierre-Alexandre Jean, two small, nimble cars, the Ginetta and the Alpine. On to the next row back, we are looking at Alec Udell in the BMW, and then in the Mercedes, Dominic Schrammel. He's sharing with the giant teammate, Jan Reinig, starting 8th. Nikolai Moller-Madsen will kick off in the Phoenix Racing Audi, always a car in the mix. And then Tom Wood in the first of the Aston Martins, that's from Academy Motorsport, that's 10th on the grid. Number 2, Mercedes, that's the car leading the way in the Pro-Am class, and it's Marcus Pavrud, the Norwegian racer, who'll kick off alongside the first of the KTMs, a True Racing example from German racer under the moniker of Phil Hill. Next row back, we're going to the Aston Martin, Julian Darras, Street Art Racing, and Mark Basseng of Schwede Motorsport in his great-looking Mercedes. And then we go to the first of the Porsche Caymans, another car that's slightly losing popularity, but it's a new one. Nicholas Scholl, Allied Racing, Andy Merrick for Bullet Racing. That's the team that won. Yes, it's a sister car in behind, number 66. It was the winning outfit yesterday evening. Alex Lamberts, and there's Dan Mackay, the McLaren that was leading the championship. Whatever went wrong yesterday also went wrong in qualifying for them, so that's sure to be a car picking its way up through the order, or trying, because it's so tight out on the grid that a little slip, even by a rival, can compromise you as you try and make your line through. As we go all the way to the back, you can see the field is so long with 32 cars that when we get to the KTM at the very, very tail of the field, it's not even on the straight. It's just turning onto the straight. That is the length of the line. Just looking to see for any further visual clues. Reinhard Koffler has been a star in this car at many circuits, but in recent years he really seems to have a handle on this Misano World Circuit. Let's see what he can do from the back. Have to be careful. He's trying to pick his way forward. One of the Aston Martins just in front of him. I've just been sent a little fact. Clement will be kicked off by Clement Seiler, the Luxembourg racer, who for each race adopts a godfather. And his godfather for this race, this is a circuit that has a lot of motorcycling history. Who better than Giacomo Agostini? There's a little sticker on the side of his car, very cute indeed. And if you want advice, of course I'm sure Giacomo, the gentleman, can offer advice on lots of things, but could there be a cooler godfather in the world? I very much doubt that. He is the king of cool. great motorbike racer. Still see him competing or out on show with his original wonderful period race leathers at all sorts of meetings around the world. So the field being flagged away. Clement Seiler was in that sort of the lemony green Aston Martin 017. He's the one with the adopted godfather. What a great little touch. As we go around the formation lap, you can see it's a hot day. You can see there's a heat haze rising off the circuit. Great mix of cars, getting better with every year, but it's Mercedes at the front and AMG, such a popular model. Ricardo van der Ende, he is sharing with Ewan Mackay. Really good run for them yesterday. Gathering points, showing good pace. Ended up in 6th place, could have been higher. A lot of the drivers said things could have been higher. As it was, the Bullet Racing Mercedes broke clear. Romain Monti bringing it to the conclusion of the race. He's starting way down the order today. In fact, his teammate, of course, is starting. Alex Lambert's starting. Alex brought it home. Romain Monti did the spade work in the first half of the race. This is Dominic Strammel aboard the Schrader Motorsport car that's very kindly carrying an onboard camera for us. See the field. That's the run between turn 8 and turn 9. Big queue down into turn 8 hairpin. Chance for them to see it at low speed. But there's the Corvette, the Camaro that's starting 3rd on the grid. Duncan Houseman sharing this weekend with Francesco Pastorelli. He's had quite a few teammates in that big V8 rumbler so far through this season. Tyre temperature, how much you can push these tyres on these cars today is the big question. They've all learned lessons yesterday. Some will have remembered them, some will have forgotten, some will learn new ones today. And of course, the drivers who started yesterday's race are finishing today's example. So very different circumstances for all of them. It's all a learning curve. A lot of drivers just in the heat of the battle push their tyres too hard too soon. In the cooler conditions at the start of the year at Monza, then at Brands Hatch, you can get away with that. But here it's hot at Misano. Watch for the McLaren picking its way up the order. That was the car leading the championship. Number 14, entered by Equipe Vershaw. It's the blue and white McLaren. It's basically white with blue and orange markings on it, but it's way down in the middle of the pack. Just see it on the right-hand side of the shot. As the field gets into 2x2 formation as they go through the kink of turn 15. It's a left-hand kink. Turn 16 will follow. The safety car will peel into the pit lane. The field is so big, it goes on and on and on. I think we've got to about 30th position of the 32 cars as they come onto the start-finish straight, side by side between the Encris BMW, the Ricardo van der Ende at the wheel, alongside Jan Kissel on pole in the Lippert Motorsport Mercedes. Look, the red lights turn to green, and crescendo of noise as the field accelerates down to the first corner. It looks so the pole man has got a good start. The V8 Camaro ducking and diving in behind, but a better start by Ricardo van der Ende. Brake later into the first corner. It's a very tricky combination. First handful of cars, they've all got through turn 1, turn 2. Yeah, good job by people. Jan Reinig will be watching on as his teammate Dominic Strammel grapples for position. He started in 8th position. Looks like the Aston Martin might be gaining a position up the inside, just in front of the Mercedes there. That's Jan Reinig's car, the 777 car, one of the Bullet Mercedes taking the wide line, possibly the safe line, keeping out of trouble at turn 4, but a great start from Ricardo van der Ende. Looks like it was a good start from Jan Kissel, but BMW put its nose in front. One of the two, though, Bullet Racing Mercedes is running wide at every opportunity to try and keep out of trouble, trying to gain places. And that Street Art Racing Aston Martin is certainly, that's Academy Motorsport, sorry, that's Tom Wood. Silver Aston Martin with the yellow flanks, gaining positions at the front end. But it's Ricardo van der Ende up from 2nd place at the start, into the lead by the first corner. He's going to see if he can drop Jan Kissel down to the middle of the pack in just a case of keeping out of trouble, but not running wide. Run wide, you will probably lose positions. So it's not as per grid positions. What we've had is a brilliant start from number 9. Pierre-Alexandre Jean, the little Alpine, has gone from 6th on the grid. Don't forget, one of the cars was missing, but he's up into 3rd position and harrying Jan Kissel. A bit of a mistake there. Pierre-Alexandre Jean closing right in, and Duncan Houseman trying to regain ground in the blue Camaro. Alec Udell looks like he's had a good start, so he's up into 5th place. Yeah, he's got ahead of the Ginetta of Jorge Catalan. And the next car in that grouping looks as though it's Tom Wood who's gained a couple of positions, if not a bit of bodywork lying across the track, being collected by one of the tail ender cars. Don't see who struck who out of turn 16, but the bodywork looked like a little bit of a wheel arch liner dropped onto the circuit. Let's hope that doesn't lead to a puncture, but certainly second place is being very, very hard fought at the moment. Pierre-Alexandre Jean working on Jan Kissel, which is great news for race leader. Ricardo van der Ende broke to 1.5 seconds clear, and as this battle for second place shapes up, he should be able to escape and get further. Looking to see who's made great gains and losses. Nicolas Scholl lost a little bit on the opening lap. He's fallen down the order somewhat. Ibrahim Okyay, the Turkish racer, he's gone backwards too, but very tidy racing so far. But all along, Ricardo van der Ende is starting to open it up. The lead was 1.5 seconds at the start of the lap. And as he breaks clear, the battle behind continues to rage. Jan Kissel, oh, here comes a move from Nikolai Moller-Madsen, thank you very much, past Dominic Strabel, but is fast in, slow out. Dominic Strabel tries to fight back in the Schrader Motorsport car carrying our camera, but as you can see, the move was completed by the little red Phoenix Racing Audi. Nikolai Moller-Madsen upper position, Dominic Strabel back down to 8th place. But Ricardo van der Ende, you couldn't actually see Pierre-Alexandre Jean at the start of that shot. The little Alpine tucked down behind Jan Kisiel's Lippert Motorsport Mercedes. So much smaller and lower, but it matters not. It's neither of them are as quick as the Ekris Motorsport BMW at the head of the queue. Ricardo van der Ende, just what he hasn't won in GT4 racing is not worth knowing about. First 7 have broken clear, then it's the gap back to 8th place and Nikolai Moller-Madsen. So Tom Wood in the Aston Martin. How's this though? Just let's go through the makes in the top 4 positions. BMW, Mercedes, Alpine, Chevrolet, a second BMW, a Ginetta, and then an Aston Martin. So top 7 positions, top 6 manufacturers. Impressive. I thought I'd keep an eye on the progress or otherwise of the McLaren that started 17th. Not a lot. Dan Mackay only up to 16th at the moment. And Alex Lamberts, however, had gotten from 17th to 18th up to 12th, now back behind Julian Darris's Aston Martin. So he's making better progress from that mid-grid position. And Reinhard Koffler started 32nd. He is up in his KTM to 23rd. He's the driver making the moves up through the order. What does one sense at the head of the field? Yes, the gap went out from 1.5 seconds to 2.1 seconds between first and second, between Ricardo van der Ende and the yellow Mercedes of Jan Kissel. Duncan Houseman now starting to put pressure on Pierre-Alexandre Jean in the little Alpine as they go down the back straight. It seems a lead of about 10, 20, maybe probably 20 car lengths towards between first and second. There's the second place Mercedes in bright yellow. Now the Aston Martin making good, coming around the outside. That's Tom Wood going around past Luc Ibanez. Or is it Jorge Catalan? It's listed as Luc Ibanez on the timing screen. I will go with that. So the Ginetta losing ground for now, kicking up the dust on the inside. Tom Wood made the move, so we'll stick with Luc Ibanez. That's what we have on the screen. Bouncing over the curbs in the Ginetta, but very good move. The Aston Martin advantage becoming more and more popular with good reason, as you can see in GT4 racing. And very good showing, winning the GT4 class at the Nürburgring 24 Hours last weekend shows that its popularity is sure to continue growing. A lot of people like saying, I'm racing an Aston Martin. So what can Pierre-Alexandre Jean do? He's now got a little bit of a gap over Duncan Houseman, so he can concentrate on trying to wrestle second place from Jan Kissel. But in fact, the leading BMW didn't really escape by a great deal last lap. We're talking less than 1/10 of a second. The advantage is now 2.2 seconds, first to second. Just going out of shot was our race leader. Second place Mercedes being pushed, prodded, probed. Pierre-Alexandre Jean is finding no change from the pole in front of him, and he's getting Duncan Houseman starting to rumble his way in that V8 Racing Camaro onto his tail all over again. Out of turn 8 they go, up through the kink at turn 9. Coming up now into that kink, there they go, kink to the right, and get the braking done, and then get your car turned in as soon as you can to turn 10. Because of course that's the corner that leads onto that long, long back straight. This is the place you can make ground if you get your exit right. Pierre-Alexandre Jean not running in the slipstream, looking out wide. What I'm sensing is Alec Udell in the 25 MDM Motorsport BMW has now decided it's time to attack right on the tail of Duncan Houseman in the Camaro. A few lengths further back, but coming up is Tom Wood, really making great progress this weekend. Racing with Mika Stanley, has generally spent this season sharing his Aston Martin with Academy Motorsport with Fiona James, but he's got Mika Stanley and going very well in his own right. Alec Udell pushing on, has those 2 wins in the bag already, won both races with Simon Knapp last time out at Paul Ricard, and came away last night with 3rd position. That's why they're leading the championship. The Ginetta is being dropped, having been passed by Tom Wood's Aston Martin. You can see the Ginetta tucked in behind number 15. It's the leading car in the Pro-Am class. Of course, Marius Surga and Gabriele Piana didn't start the race. They were due to be 4th on the grid, so don't know why there was no start, but big shame for them. Yeah, definitely Alec Udell on the move, and what we've seen over the last lap as the Americans attacked is that Duncan Houseman has taken his eye off attacking Pierre-Alexandre Jean. But Alec Udell is now being caught by Tom Wood, and Luc Ibanez tucked onto their tail. That gap opened up very quickly from 7th. Nikolai Moller-Madsen in 8th is trying to hunt them down, but he's not getting any change out of them at all. The first 7 made good the escape. Nikolai Moller-Madsen had to work his way past his teammate Dominic Schrammel. And lost ground. Oh, place change there. One of the KTMs nearly being clattered by one of the 2 Bullet Racing Mercedes. It's probably Alex Lamberts, yes, trying to go past Phil Hill and getting past Phil Hill. So 7th place, yeah, there you can see the positions changing down the order, but the KTM's got back ahead all over again. The Aston Martin, behind them, McLaren still not making an enormous amount of progress in the first part of the race. Benjamin Sen may take up the cudgels and do a better job in the second half, but a lot of these drivers are trying to remember the words their team bosses said to them: save your tyres. Some will remember, some will have forgotten in the heat of the battle and the heat of the day here at Misano. Still more than 50 minutes of racing. Gap between 1st and 2nd, it looks like it's going closer to 3 minutes, 3 seconds. So it is, just goes over 3 seconds. Jan Kissel has 0.8 of a second advantage in 2nd place over Pierre-Alexandre Jean. Pierre-Alexandre doesn't appear to have the answers to the questions being asked of him. He cannot find a gap. Jan Kissel settling down into that 2nd place. Duncan Houseman there in the Camaro in 4th. 5th, Alec Udell in the best of the BMWs. The 2nd best of the BMWs. Then Tom Wood, the Aston Martin. He got past the Ginetta, but Ibanez attacking back. There it is, the battle for 6th place. And looking just a little bit further up the track, looking to see how close Nikolai Moller-Madsen is getting. He's not really closing at all. He's running actually a few tenths slower here and there as he gives chase in the Phoenix Audi, the best of the Audis. So still top 8, 7 manufacturers in the top 8. It really is a great accolade for GT4 racing. The Ginetta there, top car in the Pro-Am class, a really good run. So good pairing this weekend. Luc Ibanez and Jorge Catalan settling in very well together. And the top runner in the AM class is David Logier. We had a little flash shot of him earlier, car number 48. Glorious looking little CMR blue and orange Alpine A110, running at the moment in 18th position overall. Just went past Jean Gloria last time around. Just move ahead of Gloria's Mercedes, the Celleslar Racing team. Up front, though, it is nip and tuck. Not for Ricardo van der Ende. He's running his own race at his own pace, and his pace is the best. It was 3 seconds clear. Might have actually slightly come down this lap. Let's have a little look when the clock beats around. No, almost identical, but the last few laps have been good for Jan Kissel in that 2nd place. Pierre-Alexandre Jean just dropping away. In fact, lost nearly half a second last time around. No wonder the Lippert Mercedes looked better. Car number 1, drive-through penalty for leaving the track to gain a position, and that's Nikolai Moller-Madsen. He just moved past Dominic Schrammel to take 8th place. He's going to lose all of that and a whole handful more. So having got that Audi up into 8th, I'm afraid that's going to tumble way down the order, serving the drive-through penalty. Oops. There is, again, running slightly wide in the background, that Phoenix Racing Audi flashing his lights, and one of the KTMs is that getting going again, but it's clearly had a spin. Let's have a look. All on his own, car number 99. More Than Racing, Dominic Olberg and Onda Erdem, and that's Onda. He's right down at the tail of the pack after that. So when will Nikolai Moller-Madsen bring that red number 1 Audi into the pit lane? Serve that drive-through penalty. I think sooner rather later might be the best time to do it. get it out of the way. Alec Udell starting to shape up to make a passing manoeuvre, if possible, on Duncan Houseman, but the Camaro stays on in that 4th place overall, harried and chased by Alec Udell, who not only is learning the BMW this season, learning the team, but he's learning the European scene as well, and really is doing a fantastic job of it. Car 25, 2 wins, frequent podium visitors, all over the veteran Dutchman. World Challenge GTC champion in his native states in 2016, racing the World Challenge, the GT class, the senior class in 2017 and 2018, but really finding his feet here in Europe in 2019. Number 25, Tricorp Workwear. Duncan Houseman, the driver in front of him, is not a driver who tends to leave the door open, so he's going to have to really work his corner. Nikolai Moller-Madsen has visited the pit to serve his drive-through penalty, so tumbling down, I'd suggest outside the top 20, so close in behind. Ready to rejoin. In fact, he'd be lucky to be in the top 25 when he gets back onto the circuit. So where is the change going to come? So hard to tell. Alec Udell actually dropped back a little bit in 5th place, no longer right on the tail of the Dutchman. Tom Wood in behind, doing as good a job as could be hoped for in the Aston Martin, 6th overall, just under a second down on Udell. There's another Aston Martin just a bit further down, Julian Darras, Street Art Racing, sharing with JB van den Balk, who did the second part of the race. 3rd Aston Martin, that's just going through shot, just showing how that's Academy Motorsport car. That's Will Moore and Matthew Cowley. One for Akhil Ravindra as well out there. They had problems in qualifying, didn't get to qualify. In fact, that was Akhil's car we were looking at. Fastest lap of the race, set by his teammate yesterday, David Griesner, so there is pace in that advantage for sure. Talking of drivers running wide, turn 13 is being the corner where they all tend to do it. Some getting all 4 wheels off the circuit before taking the wider line through the sweep. 13, 14 and 15 very close together. There's 15, the left-hander. And just leaves the final corner of the lap for Dominic Schrummel, running in 2nd place in the Pro-Am class now, under 2 seconds down on the Ginetta of Luc Ibanez, so maybe coming forward all over again. There's the Pro-Am class battle, looking through the windscreen of the car, 2nd in class, Schrader Motorsport Mercedes. Down into turn 1, the Ginetta holding sway in class, leading it 7th place overall. Marcus Paverud 3 seconds back, he's 3rd in class, in 9th overall. Marcus driving the number 2 bright yellow Mercedes for Lippert Motorsport. It's the one with the Man Filter sponsorship on the doors. Tight early section of the lap, turns 4 and 5, bring the cars around. There's turn 5, then start to open out through the left-hander at turn 6. Don't want to go too wide over the curves. Turn 7 doesn't really exist. It's effectively marks the point where there's a very slight kick to the left, just a slight parabola there. Turn 7, and then hard braking for turn 8, riding down with Dominic Schrummel. Not much change in position, certainly not much change even in the gaps with cars in the top 10. So he stays a second or so down on Luc Ibanez, but still leading the battle to chase after the Pro-Am leader. Ricardo van der Ende, I haven't mentioned his advantage in the lead of the race. It's settled at just over 3 seconds. It was 3.0 seconds, 3.1 seconds. It's nearly 3.3 seconds now. So the Dutchman building whatever gap he can to hand over to Ewan McKay when we get the pit stop window open. But I'd suggest Ricardo will stay out as long as he possibly can. Running well, running in clear air at the moment, so maximise those moments. Dan Mackay started 17th, came here leading the championship, arriving at MISANO with a points lead. And he shares that number 14 McLaren from Akit Vachor with Benjamin Lassen, but Mackay now up to 14th place, but not by dint of overtaking. That was by dint of the drive-through penalty that has dropped the number 1 Audi all the way down to 28th position for Nikolai Moller-Madsen. How frustrating. There's the Ekris Motorsport car leading the race with considerable ease, you have to say. 3 and a bit seconds. In fact, the last lap, not so much ease. It fell to 2.9 seconds. Just checking the lap times. Yes, he was well being caught by Jan Kisiel. We'll see how the gap keeps changing. But Ricardo van der Ende just so conservative with his lines. It's the chasers who are using a bit more of the track beyond. In fact, the driver in 5th place, Alec Udell, the top 5, he was the one running widest out of turn 6 over the curbing. But into turn 8 they go. The left-hand hairpin, the middle point of the circuit. Corner that if you stand on top of the pits building, you can look right down, a fabulous view. You can see the start-finish straight, but a far clearer line of sight lets you see turn 8, where they turn sharp left, you can then just about see over the top of a bank of earth and see the cars coming out of turn 10 the whole way down until they go through the kink at turn 12 before they drop out of sight. So great visibility, great spectating points in the circuit. Oh, and Aston Martin's run very, very wide out of turn number 8. That was Akhil Rabindra. Yes, Andy Merrick a couple places behind, so 18th and 20th position. But out on the track, Ginetta still leading the Pro-Am class, still running around. Lucky Vignette at the wheel, numbers in 7th position. But you can see Dominic Schrammel is closing in that orange and grey Mercedes behind. Vignette in turn is right on the tail of Tom Wood. Got dropped by him and it's caught him up all over again. I'm talking in fractions of a second. They're going through turn 15 over the curbs, but staying just about within the confines. Turn 16, the final corridor onto the start, finish straight over the curbs, but again, keeping it neat and tidy. I must say, it's early stage of the race, the drivers are really seeming to have learnt this lesson about keeping their tyres, offering something for the second half of the race. Car 66, yesterday's winning car, Alex Lamberts, he had the easy job. He brought it home after Romain Monti did the spade work in the early part of the race. He's up to 11th place. Had that battle with the KTM of Phil Hill. His next target is Julian Darras, has to find a couple of seconds to get onto his tail, but the 66 Bullet Racing Mercedes making good, solid progress. First to second, let's call it 3 seconds, 2.999. In fact, on screen this lap, it seems as though that maybe a bit of traffic is starting to trouble the race leader, Ricardo van der Ende. Yes, he's mired in traffic as the field dives through the middle part of the circuit. Now one of the lead is chopping and changing. And look for yesterday's winning car, 66, definitely making progress. Alex Lamberts, German racer. Again, there's the McLaren that was leading the championship coming here. Still not at the sharp end of the field. 14th place overall for Dan Mackay. Oh, the bonnet has taken a rise. Is that Andy Merrick's car? Let's see, is it 33 or 66? It's 33, it's Andy Merrick. He's about to hand it over to team boss Stephen Patrick, but not in the way that it left the grid. So good work by the camera crews to pick that one up. Certainly will not be helping Andy Merrick, running in 20th position, trying to hunt down Jean Glorieux, but not going to be very good down the back straight with the bonnet rising up like that. So onto another lap goes Ricardo van der Ende. Is Jan Kissel closing in? There's Reinhard Koffler running super wide. He's the driver picking his way up the order. Just gone ahead of the number 19, Akhil Rabindra driven Aston Martin. So up to 17th place from 32nd. Great run there from Reinhard Koffler. If he got into clear air, he could lap as fast as the race leaders. In fact, he's lapping very close to their pace, come what may. Ricardo van der Ende has hit trouble. I noticed the gap was coming down. Kissel's now leading the race. Pierre-Alexandre Jean into second. Ricardo van der Ende did a lap that was 5 seconds off his normal pace, down into 3rd position. Next target, Duncan Houseman will go past his compatriot. So what has been going wrong? At first I thought it was traffic, then 2nd and 3rd caused him. Now they've passed him. Now he's got Duncan Houseman on his tail. And it's been so smooth from the driver leading the race for the vast majority of Ricardo van der Ende. I can't see that he's ragged his tyres too much, but suddenly going backwards. Let's see his interval times. No, he seems to be back on the pace through the first sector of the lap, but 5 seconds down on that last lap. That's why he's 2.5 seconds down on Jan Kissel. So leading the race, the pole that started on pole position, Jan Kissel for Leipzig Motorsport, Pierre-Alexandre Jean second in the Alpine, and then Ricardo van der Ende had it all under control. Now the Ecris Motorsport car back into a bit of smoke noticed there. Pay attention to that, Jones. See what happens. Just outside the top 3, Duncan Houseman, Alec Udell, Camaro ahead of BMW, then Luc Ibanez has recently got Ginetta back ahead of Tom Wood in that little battle for 6th place. So the Pro-Am class leader was 7th, is now 6th. Dominic Schrammel, 2nd in Pro-Am, running 8th. Marcus Pavrut, 3rd in Pro-Am, running 9th. Julian Darras in the 2nd of the Aston Martins in 10th position. Waiting for the latest lap times to come through, and the fastest of the top 3 was the driver now in 3rd place, Ricardo van der Ende. Can't work out. So much time, 5 seconds, 2 positions lost on 1 lap, and now he's going all over again. But I did spot a little puff of smoke. Don't know if that was anything untoward, but there is the BMW white with the stripes up its bonnet, back in 3rd place. Jan Kissel, championship leader with his teammate Max Cobalt looks so he's going to hand over from second place. He's now handing over a 1.5 second lead when the pit window opens. It may stretch from there. Last time around, gained a 1/10 of a second on Pierre-Alexandre Jean. Now looking on board with Dominic Schrummel, all over the tail of Tom Wood. Tom Wood has lost position to the Ginetta, and he's lost ground to Ginetta. So maybe he's been the driver who's taken a bit more out of his tyres in the early stages of the race. Maybe the Vantage has had a little hiccup, but out of turn 10 they go, so onto that back straight. It all looks very equal. It's Dominic Schrummel, second in the Pro-Am class, 8th overall, gives chase down the straight. So here is the moment. The clock is still running, where it's all going. There seems to be a lack of power that goes away and then comes back again. So Duncan Houseman says thank you very much, and moves up into 3rd place overall. So very, very frustrating for the Ecris Motorsport crew, because you had to say with the 3.5 second lead it was looking totally in the bag for Ricardo van der Ende, but ultra frustrating. So it didn't look as though he'd taken it out of the tyres, but it's clearly an issue as he slows again. There's Pierre-Alexandre Jean. Still second, but the power is back with the Ecris Motorsport BMW. And Duncan Houseman got close to going past, but now isn't able to live with the pace of the rejuvenated Ecris Motorsport car. Getting to the point where the pit window will be swung open. And 2 days running for one of the Italian teams here, car number 71, the W&D Racing team. Entry local race, and it stopped out at turn 10. Unfortunately, that's the W&D Racing BMW, Paolo Meloni, but this morning started by Massimo Tresoldi. So I think with the first retirement yesterday and the first effective one today. So Ricardo van der Ende, let's take a look at any more puffs of smoke. It was when he went down towards turn 9, going to the kink at turn 9, a sort of puff a lap or so ago. Pierre-Alexandre Jean in a much smaller looking Alpine, just in behind. So the W&D Racing BMW's got going all over again, just in their path, staying out of their way, but look at the slipstream there being gained. There's the W&D car on the left of the circuit, but looked like a better exit and more grunt. Back into second place, surely goes Ricardo van der Ende. So he's got the pace, he lost the pace for some technical reason, it's come back again. He's gone from first back to third, up to second. Now, the gap between Jan Kisiel and the best of the rest was 1.5 seconds. Is it going to come down? Because in these final moments before they get to the pit stop window opening, Ricardo van der Ende is flying all over again. Onto the start finish straight go the first three. Duncan Houseman close behind the metallic blue Camaro. He's now got a little bit of clear air, a second or so back to the BMW of Alec Udell. And yet again the problem has struck itself. Every time you think, right, he's re-established, he can now set off after the lead, it happens again. In fact, I'd have thought Ricardo van der Ende will hand this car over as soon as possible. It can't be any joy to drive at all. It's got the speed, and then suddenly, one glitch after another, he's working his way back down the order. He's now in 4th place, and Alec Udell, who came onto the start finish straight in 5th, is now thinking it could be 4th anytime soon. Untitled Motorsport leading the way, their Mercedes 2.6 seconds clear now of the Alpine of Pierre-Alexandre Jean. So what is happening in the cockpit of that Ecris Motorsport BMW? 2, if not 3 glitches. One of them cost him 5 seconds, dropped him from 1st to 3rd, and since then he's been going backwards and forwards up the order. Had only just got back into 2nd place, was setting off after the race leader. Another car in problems is the one and only Ginetta. Oh gosh, that was the car running in 6th place. That was the Pro-Am class leader. Oh, and for Luc Ibanez, just coming up to the pit window, and he's going to cruise in for all the wrong reasons. It looks number 35 is the first person to take a sensible pit stop. So what is going on in the pack? The big problem there for the Ginetta, far worse than the problem for Ricardo van der Ende. His is intermittent, whereas the one for the Ginetta looks terminal. So now leading the Pro-Am classes, Marcus Pavarud just got ahead of Dominic Schrummel. We're going to have a scramble for the pits. 2nd and 3rd, the Alpine and the Camaro. In behind, still going, but intermittently. Lost, I'd say almost 2 seconds on that last lap. Ricardo van der Ende down to 4th. This should be a race he had in his bag. Trying to pick up a pattern of where the power doesn't come in. We saw him going slowly before, down towards turn 8, at the end of a straight. Failed to continue accelerating, had the glitch. Again on the start finish straight, another glitch. Great little battle for Pro-Am honours. Marcus Pavarud, Dominic Schrummel, half a second between them. They're just behind this pack. They're running in 7th and 8th positions. Bright yellow Mercedes, not that one, that's the race leader. for Lippert Motorsport, but the sister car, the yellow one, should be coming to the background as well. No, just teasingly out of image. Second place, third place, Alpine ahead of Chevrolet, but it's a Mercedes in the lead. The pit window is open, but the front runner's not deciding to come in. Ricardo van der Ende, he's had the lead, he's in fourth place. There he goes, no problem this time around on the run down to the hairpin at turn 8. Just checking out my window as they accelerate away. Oh, we've got the Ginetta stopped at the side of the circuit, left-hand side of the circuit, didn't make it round. We saw it having a problem on the start-finish straight. Had passed pit entrance, so wasn't able to cruise in, but that appears terminal now for the Ginetta. They'll tumble down the order. Big, big shame for Luc Ibanez. Such a strong run. Enjoyed the racing up the front end. Great dicing, in particular with the Aston Martin of Tom Wood. Lost out, got the better of that battle, and then just as he got in front, it's come to a halt. First to second, which is Jan Kisiel's Mercedes ahead of Pierre-Alexandre Jean's little Alpine, you can see there. Best part of 3.4 seconds. The frustration there is our race leader. Is he having a problem there? Oh, we're under full course yellow. Full course yellow, yellow under the thing. There's the thing being shown. I suddenly thought, no, we can't have another car hitting problems. That was Jan Kisiel suddenly cutting back the pace in the yellow Lippert Motorsport Mercedes, but with reason he was doing that, because full course yellow, all the drivers know they have to drop down and run at a fixed speed, a maximum speed. Windows open, there are cars in the pits, and who's going to win, who's going to lose? So the race leader has made it into the pit lane under full course yellow. Jan Kisiel. He's going to be busy. Tom Wood does not come in. He continues on his way. Everybody else reports the pit. So Tom Wood came past in 6th place. He stayed on the track. Ricardo van der Ende out of the car that's had the problem. So he's going to have some, not just strap his teammate in, he's going to have to tell Ewan Mackay what the problem is and how best to counteract it. Maybe it's something they have no control over whatsoever, but if there's any trick they can do to get the power there consistently, he's got to tell his Scottish teammate. It looked so in control. Brilliant start from the second position on the grid, took the lead on the rolling start, and then had the problems. It's been really interesting to hear from Ricardo what exactly has been going on in the cockpit of that number 8 Ecris Motorsport BMW. Full course yellow, while of course the Ginetta is cleared off the circuit. It was on the exit of turn 8, it was stationary in the track. Now Tom Wood decided to stay out. I'm not sure that's the greatest tactic in the world when you've got the full course yellow, but it depends how long they think the problem is going to stay with the full course yellow on the circuit. If it's long enough, he can come in next time round. It actually could be a masterstroke, but it's a question of how long this period under yellow continues. The Ginetta already being towed down the infield. It'll be parked up behind the barriers at turn 8. They found a gap in the barriers and pulled it away, but the car that was leading the way, just remember, Jan Kisiel, 3.3 second advantage when the yellow period commenced. Now, does he need a pass out the pit lane? But that means we've had changes of position during the pit stop. It means the Ecris Motorsport car came in from 4th, has come out ahead of 2 of the cars that were in front of it. The Camaro that Duncan Hausman's handed over to Francesco Pastorelli, and then the little Alpine has dropped in behind them. So no wonder people are looking up and down the pit lane to try and see if a second can be gained here or there, but number 9 Alpine, now in the hands of Stefan Lemery, should have come out at the head of this grouping, and it's come out at the back of this trio. So good work by the Ecris Motorsport crew. Let's hope all is straight and legal. In terms, because we have a minimum pit stop time, you shall not exceed that or undercut it, more to the point. And don't forget, Max Cobalt came in ahead of them, had a 3 and a bit second advantage. He should be running at the front of the field once all the cars have made their pit stops all over again. There's the McLaren. Benjamin Nassen will take that over. Cannot get side by side under full yellow. You have to run in race order because you're running at no overtaking under full yellow, but really Francesco Pastorelli, a little bit of gamesmanship there. Stefan Lemeray tucked in behind, so it's the Ecris M4 ahead of the Camaro, ahead of the little Alpine. Tom Wood waiting to get back in to make his pit stop under this full course yellow period. Don't forget, he had fallen to 6th place overall. Looking to come in. Yeah, waiting for the takeover. That's Mark Bassing. So full course yellow, the car's been removed. I can't see for how much longer we are going to have this yellow period. It seems interminable because I can see the other car, the car that broke Ginetta, has been removed to a place of safety. Looking for any signals on screen. In comes the Aston Martin. Is this a great tactic or is it not? Well, time will tell. Academy Motorsport changing Tom Wood for Micah Stanley. Now it's time to get heat in the tyres. 27, nearly 28 minutes this race remaining, and the BMW right in that mix as well. So when we go green, it's going to be a fearsome battle. So bear in mind, Ewan Mackay has taken over. He's in the number 8 Ecris Motorsport BMW. Max Cobalt leading the way in the Leipzig Motorsport Mercedes, but it's the V8 Racing Camaro there in effective 3rd position, and in 4th position Stefan Lemeray in the Alpine. 5th place Simon Knapp has taken over the 25 BMW, having to run at a limited pace, a pace they all should be running at. There should be no gaining of distance. The gap should remain the same. The gap is absolutely next to nothing. Round the corner they go one more time, still waiting for the signal when it's going to go green. The yellow flag still being waved all around the circuit. Don't underdo the time, you have to be at a standstill. Where is the Aston Martin? It came in from behind them from 6th place. It should emerge, yeah, definitely behind them, because he's got a long way to get to pit exit. But don't forget, cars on the track are not running at racing pace. Quite clearly, they're having to run at the same limited pace as he's going to be running in the pit lane. So it's going to be very close. I think, unfortunately for Micah Stanley, when he comes onto the circuit, he will be just behind them. I can see the roof of his Aston Martin. Yeah, he's not close enough to pit exit to be able to jump them by the time they exit turn 3. So 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th. Down to Simon Knapp in 5th place, then really quite a gap, and then out into what should be 6th place comes the Aston Martin. So he's actually lost ground by taking his pit stop a lap later. Not lost position, there he is in the background of the shot. And he's just in front of a yellow Mercedes. By reckoning, that should now be Lucy Treffs in the number 2 Pro-Am class leader. It will polish out. What you don't want to do is hit anyone in the pit lane. What you really don't want to do is polish one of your own teammates' car. 30 hitting 31 there. So Guillaume Dumouriez attacking the back of the sister car. I don't think there'll be much damage, but I'm sure the team will make him buy lunch and drinks for that contact in the pit lane. 4 cars, nose to tail. 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th. The Aston Martin in 6th place in the background. The Pro-Am class leader in 7th now, Lucy Treffs. And we're just waiting in the far end of the shot, down at turn 9. Just at the rear shot is this quartet, less turn 8. You can see the race leader. Now it's Max Cobalt, a Dutchman in the lead of the race. The Dutch have been doing a very good job in this race. Ricardo van der Ende, fellow Dutchman, waiting for green. It's going to come very soon, I'm told. 2nd, 3rd and 4th, almost nose to tail. Certainly have been. Now get on the tail. Simon Knapp, you cannot accelerate until the cars in front go. They've all got to stay at this limited maximum speed, waiting for the signal. Who is paying the closest attention? Who's got the best signal from the pit lane, from their crew? Cars still running at the limited speed. 25 minutes. The pit window is now closed. Was that a move? Oh, it looks as though a very good move from Stefan Lemeray. Jumped the other 2 ahead of him. Back into 4th place, lost those 2 positions in the pit stop, and by dint of being the driver who was widest awake, he moved to the head of that group in fantastic job. Simon Knapp gains the position, and Francesco Pastorelli has lost 2 places, so it really has changed very quickly. Ewan Mackay semi-awake, so he's in 3rd position, but great start jump on the restart. They're not jump, an anticipation. Brilliant anticipation from Stefan Lemeray. 4th became 2nd. Can he keep the Alpine there? Sort of fair in a way, that's where it was before the pit stops. But you had to say, for the Ecris Motorsport crew, they deserved the form that got them from 4th back to 2nd, because they had all the bad luck with whatever glitch it was. An electrical glitch, one would think, that caused possible 3 occasions on which Ricardo van der Ende lost ground, lost position. In one lap, he lost 5 seconds all over. And then he gained it all back again in terms of race pace. He's managed to get in the thick of the battle, and then seemed to have got back to 2nd position by the time his teammate rejoined the race. But for Ewan Mackay, 3rd, not a bad situation, bearing in mind. But who knows over the final 24 minutes of this race whether that glitch is going to surface again. Let's hope not, because it's really unfair. The car going beautifully other than that for Ecris Motorsport. What we've seen at the restart, though, is that Michael Stanley's made a real charge in the Aston Martin. He was some distance off the tail of this little quartet. He's trying to make it 5 cars. Now, Francesco Pastorelli regaining a position from Simon Knapp. 2 Dutch racers having great fun on the track. Michael Stanley in the Aston Martin thinking, well, I think I'll be having a little go in this myself. In fact, I might keep clear of their fireworks, watch them for a couple more corners, see what I can do down the long back straight. Yeah, the Academy Aston Martin looking very, very good indeed, very handy. So, Max Cobalt led at the start of this lap for Lippert Motorsport. His Mercedes 5.6 seconds clear of the fast restarting Stefan Lemire, who got that little Alpine back into second place. Ewan Mackay getting up to speed again in the Ecris Motorsport BMW, the M4 in the background of the shot. Then this great battle for fourth place, the Camaro of Francesco Pastorelli has got past Simon Knapp's BMW, and getting onto their tail, the Aston Martin, number 61, Micah Stanley. Lucy Treffs, 7th overall, leading the Pro-Am class. Top car in the Am class, Eric Mouet, really good run. He was great yesterday in the race. Showing with David Logier, his CM Alpine, 13th overall. And just for your reference, the combination that was leading the championship coming here with those 2 wins in the opening races at Monza. Benjamin Lecen, Daniel Mackay, their McLaren just out of sorts. Started 17th, is only in 20th position at the moment. Battle starting to string out. Looks as though Stefan Lemire is safe in 3rd place. Ewan Mackay's, sorry, 2nd place. Ewan Mackay's safe in 3rd, but then this battle, the Camaro, the BMW and the Aston Martin just dropping off their tail a little bit. Ewan Mackay, yeah, he's got a bit of a gap, a little bit of a safety gap, lest there should be another hiccup from that Ecris Motorsport BMW. You can see it there. Then 4th, 5th and 6th, the Camaro, the BMW and the Aston Martin. No real gains. If anything, Micah Stanley, having caught them, has dropped back a little bit in 6th place. 1st to 6th though, only 8 seconds, so it's tight, but it certainly looks like that Lippert Motorsport car last time around. In fact, Stefan Lemire is taking great chunks out of it, gained nearly a second last time around on the race leader, so this race is far from over. Max Cobalt building on the work that Jan Kissel was doing, but Stefan Lemire really getting to grips with the little Alpine, giving chase and playing catch up. 5.8 seconds, the advantage 1st to 2nd became 4.6 on this lap. It's down yet more, great chunks of time being gained by the chasing Alpine. Stefan Lemire, Belgian racer, so much experience, so much speed, making the very most of all of that. Who is making strides? I'll tell you who's making strides. Alex Lamberts started way down the order. In fact, it should be Romain Monti now. The name hasn't clicked over because Romain started yesterday's race. Did a brilliant job for Bullet Racing. Handed over a car that Alex Lamberts took into the lead of the race and kept it to the finish. They started 18th though today. Where are they now? 7th, the number 66 Mercedes. It's going to be at the back of the pack. The next target is the Aston Martin of Micah Stanley within a second last time around. So wait, there's the 2nd place Alpine, 3rd place Ecris Motorsport car. There, with the red flash up over its nose, chasing the Aston Martin, the 66 car. Romain Monti at the wheel and really making it fly. Mistake there from Micah Stanley, wide on the exit of turn 8. And it looks though, is it position lost? He's on the right line for the inside as they go through the kink, but I think the confidence that we're going to see from this Mercedes will have him sweep around the outside. Romain Monti, my hat is semi-off, gets the power done, gets the job completed. Wonderful move around the outside, up to 6th place. Might have been a slightly compromised entrance to the start-finish straight. May not have got the power down just as he wanted, but he had his nose in front, and it's still in front. So Micah Stanley down to 7th now in the Academy Motorsport Aston Martin. Then behind the Aston Martin, Lucy Treffs leading the Pro-Am class. He is down in 8th position, but he's another 1.7 seconds further back, but he's got a tiny little advantage over Jan Reining now, the very, very tall Dutchman we heard from before the start of the race. 2 meters 13, I'm still getting over that. He's another 6 and a bit seconds further back, but Alex Lamberts, well, he had enormous pleasure on his face yesterday, joined the team for this weekend along with Romain Monti. They took victory in race 1, we're way out of it in race 2. We've still got 18 and a bit minutes in this race, and certainly at this rate of progress could be on the podium, which would be a phenomenal weekend for the Spanish team. 1st yesterday, let's see if they can rise above 6th today. Next target, Simon Knapp in the number 25 MDM Motorsport, but BMW, you can see the Mercedes right on its tail already. Aston Martin falling away very slightly. And then the lead car in the Pro-Am class, the yellow Mercedes, you'll see it coming into the background of the shot. 1, 2, there it is, 1, 2, 3 seconds further back. In fact, 2 seconds further back. Not 3. So good run here from Lucy Treffs. Number 2 car started by Norwegian Marcus Paverud, now German racer Lucy Treffs, leading Pro-Am class. Let's just double check the gap back to Jan Reining. It's coming down very slightly. Jan Reining 5.9 seconds down in that Pro-Am battle. There's Reining, third car in the line. There is Jamie van den Belt, second of the Aston Martins in the race, in 10th position overall. 007 Street Art Racing. Street Art Racing have been running Aston Martins for a very long time. This is their first season with the new Vantage shape. It's very, very different indeed. Much less of a blunt tool, must be said. Very smart looking car. On to another lap goes Max Cobalt. His advantage was 2.7 seconds. I think it's come down a fair bit on that. Stefan Lemeray giving chase, waiting for the interval to come up on screen. 2.6, it looks as though it come down more than that. Third place, Ewan Mackay, there he goes into turn 1. Fourth place, actually the biggest gap he's had for a while. Francesco Pastorelli, Simon Knapp, and Simon has an excuse for falling back from his fellow Dutch racer because he's got Alex Lander, he's got Romain Monti all over his tail. Eric Mouet, 16th place overall, great run for him. He's leading the AM class. He's got Pascal Bachmann in one of the other Aston Martins. That's one entered by Street Art Racing. It's the greeny yellow one. That is a few seconds further back, but may yet have a change in that class. 2.6 seconds down. In fact, last time around, Aston Martin giving chase gained 2.5 seconds. So yes, Eric Mouet, enjoy the lead in Pro-Am while you can. Benjamin Lecen still only down in 20th position in the McLaren. Still Aston Martin tucked in behind. In fact, Benjamin's just gained places. He's just come through. He's just overtaken David Griesner. So he's gone up 3 places on that lap to 17th place overall, which matches the grid position, so it's not what they'd have wanted. And 33 off out of the race, unfortunately, for Stephen Patrick. So while one Bullet Racing Mercedes is making great ground, the other one has had a little bit of frontal contact. You can see the damage to the nose. And unfortunately, for Stephen Patrick, he is out of the race. Maybe he'll be able to cheer at least as Romain Monti, who is running in 6th overall, tries to hunt down those in front of him. He's only 10 seconds off the lead of the race. This is the race leading car, number 4, Max Cobalt, the Dutch racer. It's a good day for Dutch racers. We've got them in 1st position, 4th position, 5th position. Not too bad at all. 4.6 seconds. You can see it's coming down in small lumps, occasional laps. That one where a second was gained, then 1.8 seconds, but now the interval, 2.3 seconds is the gap, first to second. It's coming down, but the chunks are not as big as they were that were being lopped out of Max Cobalt's race lead. Michael Stanley, who looks as though he might be able to gain a few positions, has now got, he lost one to Romain Monti, and now he's got Lucy Treffs all over the tail of him, but it looks as though we might have a change for position. Simon, yeah, there we go, up another position gained by Romain Monti in the 66 Mercedes. Simon Knapp cedes that 5th position. So how much higher can the 66 car go? Just want to reiterate, Alex Lambert started that down in 18th position on the grid, effectively 17th because the car that should have started 4th, the 111 BMW that ran so well yesterday for Marius Zug and Gabriel Piana, did not start, but the rest have all been gained by the hard work of Lambert, and now Romain Monti. Pro-Am class leader. It's looking a very good day indeed for Lippert Motorsport. They're leading Pro-Am class with number 2, Lucy Treffs. He's 8th overall, getting onto the tail and trying to pass the Aston Martin, not fighting for class position, just track position, but also overall race leader Max Cobalt. So they're 2 yellow Mercedes having a great day here at Misano circuit. Eric Mouet still leading the AM class in his number 48 Alpine, but Pascal Bachmann, the number 17 Aston Martin, getting closer and closer. Academy Motorsport going from strength to strength this year. Certainly Michael Stanley having a good run, having joined the team, filling the seat normally filled by Fiona Wood. Fiona James. Tom Wood started the race, but holding on to that 7th place overall, but really coming under a huge amount of pressure as the Mercedes from behind. The Pro-Am car number 2 with the charge being conducted by Lucy Treffs. Now here's Busy for you down in the middle order. This is the AM class battle, car 48. Eric Mouet right in behind the 17 Aston Martin has been catching him hand over fist, the sort of yellowy green number that will at the moment Pascal Bachmann. Patrick Niederhauser's tucked in behind the 2 of them in his KTM. This is the car that started stone last, has got up to 20th position, and Patrick should be able, well, in fact he's now split the pair of them. He's going to go up to, that should make it 18th position for him. Will that be 19th and 18th by the end of this lap, one would think, the rate in which he's caught the cars ahead. Eric Mouet will be his next target. A bit of sharp stuff lying on the track, that's not what we want to see. The position was gained very easily indeed. The KTM has gone through. Now it looks as though the AM order is going to change. That was track order. Not enough space there for Pascal Bachmann to get in front of Eric Mouet, the Alpine driver, doing exactly what he needed to do, but the pace is with the Aston Martin. It's a case of finding a gap that can be exploited. The KTM simply pulls away from them. Here comes the Aston Martin up the inside, down into turn 8 we come. It's going to be side by side. Eric Mouet braves it out around the outside. The Aston Martin is ahead before the corner is over, and good acceleration from him. They're up to the kink at turn 9. The KTM long since gone away up the track. Patrick Niederhauser though has a long distance to go to catch anybody else, because the number 31 Mercedes, the one we saw given being a clip by its teammate in the pit lane, is about 5 seconds further up the road. Still time of plenty, 11.5 minutes for him to give chase, but first to second, talk of a chase. Lights are flashing. Stefan Lemeray has really closed down. It was about 3.5 seconds, and he's caught right onto the tail. It was 9/10ths of a second down on race leader Max Cobalt at the start of the lap. It's down to, as you can see, about 1/3 of a second, maybe half a second, as they wend their way around the middle section of the lap. Up the inside he goes, but he's on the wrong line for the next corner. Let's have a look. Is it still going to be the Mercedes in front for Max Cobalt? Looks like the nose of the blue Alpine has moved ahead. They're side by side as he gets the kink, and in front at the kink. Oh, don't go around the outside. That's really going to be very tricky indeed. But I have to say, Max Cobalt is brave, but a better run onto the back straight allowed the sleeker, lower, smaller, altogether tiny Alpine to take the lead of the race. Here we are, so 10.5 minutes remaining. And for Pierre-Alexandre Jean, a driver who particularly expected wins this year, his highest finish, believe it or not, was 10th place yesterday. Changed teammate, and certainly Stefan Lemeray has done a fabulous job. So not only a first podium coming their way if all goes right for the next 10 minutes, but the first win of the season for a driver who really is of the caliber that expects wins when he goes racing. It's Pierre-Alexandre Jean on the sidelines, and Stefan Lemeray bringing it home. And when I say bringing it home, I mean overtaking cars and bringing it home. That's the key. Very, very wise on the restart. Black and white flag for car number 12, by the way, for disrespecting track limits. That's the Turkish Borusan Automotive BMW, so they'll have a black and white flag. One more warning and it'll become a drive-through. So, riding on board with Jan Reinig. He is a fraction of a second down in the Pro-Am class. Lucy Treffs is with him, looking for position. The Aston Martin Mikasani. So in fact, I think Jan Reinig has made the move to go up because he's got the Aston Martin in front of him. Where is the Mercedes? Looking for Lucy Treffs in the yellow Mercedes. This is ahead of him. I'll have to see when they come past me. But Jan Reinig 7th overall, so been a problem for someone for them to move up. Oh, there he is, right. The Mercedes is behind him. So Jan Reinig, the tall Dutchman, the very tall Dutchman, now leading the Pro-Am class. And Lucy Treffs has gone backwards. It's a slower lap. Yeah, 2 seconds slower. That's how he ended up being second in class in the Pro-Am class, falling that one position. So good run here from Jan Reinig. He can fit in the car just, and he can make it fly most certainly. Another place just about, well, it's just changed. 4th place is no longer in the hands of V8 Racing because Roman Monti has made it through in the number 66 Bullet Racing car. 8.5 minutes remaining. His next target, can he get to the podium? He's 5 seconds down though. 5.5 seconds down on Ewan Mackay. But we know that Chris Motorsport car has had 2 or 3 intermittent problems that have led to it losing a lot of time. There's Mackay. Well, that's surely a lead that's big enough to protect all the way in the final 8 and a bit minutes of this race. But 4th, 5th and 6th in the shot. It's now Romain Monti from Francesco Pastorelli and Simon Knapp. Then comes Mika Stanley. And now the new Pro-Am class leader, tucked in behind Jan Reinig. Lucy Treffs looked in good position there, leading the Pro-Am class for Leipert Motorsport. Leipert Motorsport still leading the race. Well, they were leading the race, but of course they've only just been passed by Stéphane Lemeray. That amazing move down the back straight. So from leading overall, leading the Pro-Am class, they're 2nd overall and 2nd in the Pro-Am class now. Jan Reinig really fancies his running this race. He fancies getting past the Aston Martin all over the tail there of Mika Stanley. It looks like he's made a better exit out of turn 6. Is there going to be a move and they get down towards turn 8 and they're going to go up the inside? Well, look, that's completely covered, but you can go around the outside here, and I really fancy that's what Jan Reinig's going to manage. The silver and orange Mercedes trying to go around the outside of the silver and yellow Aston Martin. The Aston Martin prevails, and that gives a chance for Lucy Treffs to catch back onto their tail all over again in the yellow Leipert Motorsport Mercedes, but the quicker Mercedes by far, as you can see. The body language of the car, maybe the tyres are good at this point in the race. Place change surely. The Aston Martin side by side as they go down the back straight. A nose length in front, half a car, 2/3 of a car length in front of the Mercedes. The Mercedes on the inside, wait for the image. Mercedes is through into 7th place overall. That is worth the price of admission alone. That was really good bodywork dragging by the looks of things off the tail of that Mercedes, or was it just a shadow? Let's take a look. We have an running wide out of turn 13. It is bodywork running loose. Well, it would have been contact, whether it was just as he went past or down the straight. Just checking to see if there was as the dust was kicked up by the Aston Martin, if there was contact that led to that, and maybe a puncture for the Aston Martin. Don't think so. Here's 4th, 5th and 6th over the start-finish line. Romain Monti, Francesco Pastorelli and Simon Knapp. In the background, here is the battle. Let's take a look as they get down to turn 1. Again, at that bodywork dragging. Pro-Am class leader, the 2nd Aston Martin, Jamin van den Belt, the white ones, playing catch-up as well. Yeah, the bodywork still dragging. So there's been some contact up the rear. Didn't see when it was. Maybe it was when they went past the Pro-Am class lead changed, went past Lucy Treffs. But come on, mate, should be able to take that to finish the race. 6 minutes left. Great run here from Jan Reinig. Well, let's hope that doesn't come off. That's a sharp piece of bodywork. Could lead to a puncture for anybody who hits it if it falls in the track. But leading the race, but caught in traffic behind another of the Alpine there. That's the Redolé competition car. Jean-Charles Redolé and Laurent Cobard in front of the race leader. But right now, Stéphane Lemeray leading by 0.6 of a second. Confusing, suddenly 3 Alpines in a row, but the one at the back of that run of Alpines is the one leading the race and indicating go past on my right-hand side. Job done. So 1st to 2nd, Stéphane Lemeray to Max Cobalt. Is the gap going out? Yes, it is. There's a car between them. It looks like it's more than a second now. Get towards the end of another lap. The clock is down to just about 5 minutes left. Mercedes has also got past that Redolé competition Alpine, but Stéphane Lemeray has this race under control, you have to suggest. Out over the coast. Look, just conservative line, not racking the tyres too much at the end of the race. This 2 well clear of Ewan Mackay. It's about 6 seconds. He's just in the background of the shot. Next car through, just waiting for the Bullet Racing Mercedes, but it doesn't look as though that's going to reach the podium twice in 2 days. But 1st and 4th is a really, really good finishing combination for Romain Monti and the driver who kicked off today, Alex Lamberts. But it does look as though it's going to be a first win in the GT4 European Series for 2019 for CMR Alpine team, because the best of the rest, Max Cobalt in his Leipert Motorsport Mercedes, is close, but surely not close enough. And for Ewan Mackay, I guess 3rd place will be satisfactory. It could have been a win, because certainly the pace has been there for that car, but whatever the problem was that cost them the lead, thank goodness it doesn't seem to have carried on through the second half of the race. I don't suppose there was anything they could do to fix it. Whatever it was, it frustrated Ricardo van der Ende. He was in the lead of the race, and comfortably so. But the car is still going, still lapping close to the pace of the front runners. Must be said, last time around he was actually 1 minute 47, and the chasing Romain Monti 1 minute 45.8. So he'll be catching, but surely time is running out. He's 4.1 seconds down. Well, around this lap is he gaining? Just waiting to see Romain's time through the end of the 1st sector. Should be on the screen any second now. He's well clear of Francesco Pastorelli. Waiting for Monti to go through. Simon Knapp now in 5th. Romain Monti has not come through. I was waiting for his split interval. The fact that Simon Knapp is up into 5th place, Romain Monti must have stopped. He hasn't got to the end of the first timing sector. Quite a lot of cars being pinged for speeding, so just as I was wondering whether the 66 Bullet Racing Mercedes could get right the way to the front, it's had a problem. First three we know are Stefan Lemeret, Max Cobalt in the Mercedes, Ewan Mackay in the Ecris M4, but up into 4th place now is Francesco, and the leader has suddenly lost speed. What is happening at the end of the race? There's a gremlin out there because it's the Mercedes into the lead of the race, another car that has suddenly slowed. There is the car that was leading the race, and comfortably, and the little Alpine has hit problems from first back to second. Is he going to go back to third? Ewan Mackay is closing right onto his tail. We've got a puncture there. Yeah, the front left tyre is coming off the rim. How cruel for Stefan Lemeret. He was the star of the second half of the race. He's got a long distance to get back to the pits, but that front left wheel's not doing him any favours whatsoever. So Ewan Mackay up into 2nd place. If Romain Monti had not had... Well, Romain Monti is in the background of the shot. I don't understand. He didn't hit the timing screen last time around. He didn't hit a sector problem. So there he is. Okay, he is now into 3rd place. 4th place is now Francesco Pastorelli. So it's changing fast, but what has changed for sure is Leipert Motorsport came here 2nd in the championship, leaders by last night, are now going to stroke it home. Max Cobalt, we heard from him on the grid. Jan Kisiel kicked off the race for them, lost the lead at the start to Ricardo van der Ende. It's been a strong race ever since, but we had the overturning, the Alpine going in front for Pierre-Alexandre Jean. How cruel, tumbling down the order, limping back to the pits. Suddenly, it's in the pocket of Leipert Motorsport into the final 1.5 minutes of this race. This has swung one way and another. Been some great passing, been some mechanical gremlins as well that have sorted things out. Oh, the bodywork ripping away now. You see the tyres come off the rim, it's flapped up, it's ripped the bodywork. There goes one of the two McLarens trying to get past, doing so, running on the rim, no rubber left there, somehow getting it back to the pits. Just about, turn 15 has to be negotiated, and is he just about to give up now? Doesn't want to interrupt those behind, but looks like Pierre-Alexandre Jean, just as I thought the team's fortune has changed. It's not been the best of seasons for them. They've had a quick car, but things tend to happen to them. Nothing at all, though, is happening to Leipert Motorsport. Twice they'd been passed by other rivals for the lead, but they're back in. Look, we're into the final minutes of the race, and sitting on a tidy advantage. 6.5 seconds over Ewan Mackay. Max Cobalt leading the way on this, the final lap of their 2 races here at Misano. It's been hot, the racing's been great. Let's hope he can have nothing occur to him. Down to turn 8 he comes. 2nd place car, Ewan Mackay in the Ecris Motorsport BMW, and Romain Monti in the background. I thought he was the car that had problem. He didn't appear on the timing screens for a while. It was a timing glitch, and he is still going. 4th place will go to Francesco Pastorelli. Simon Knapp will take home 5th, or will he? Things keep on changing. In fact, just looking to see, there's something happening with this 66 Romain Monti car. We can see it in the background of our shot. We know it's not the sister car. The 33 car went out. Stephen Patrick damaged the front end of that. But on the graphic, and I've just got to try and tie up the graphic with any potential penalties for 66. I can see it with my eyes on the circuit, but still listed as 3rd on my screens. But other points, as Pierre-Alexandre Jean, so gutted, pulls aside the circuit. I'm just going to try and tally everything, but one thing that is absolutely undoubted is victory is going to go to the number 4 pole starting Mercedes from Leipert Motorsport. Jan Kisiel started, and Max Cobalt takes it to the finish. A little jig, swings the wheel from side to side. 2nd place, Ewan Mackay. I know a lot of cars are going to get speeding penalties. Those might be added later. And right on the tail of Mackay is Romain Monti at the end of the race in the 66 Mercedes. 4th place will go to Francesco Pastorelli. Good run for the V8 Racing crew. 5th place to Simon Knapp. 6th place will go to Jan Reining. Here he comes, leading Pro-Am in 6th overall. Be very proud of that run to the flag. And Mika Stanley will come home 7th for Aston Martin. And will he just checking those final finishers as they run through. And Lucy Treff's just seeing coming across the line in 9th. And 10th place will be Cedric Freiberg-Haus. One thing, Sarah, yes, the Phoenix Racing Audi, number 1. To the line in 10th place. I think some of these positions may have a little bit of changing in the closing moments because there are some penalties to be applied, but what we can say, it was a race of considerable interest as things kept happening. Of course, the fact that 2nd place has been recovered by the Ecris Motorsport team is fair. They raced hard. They had a problem, but for Pierre-Alexandre Jean and Stéphane Lemeray, who's at the side of the circuit, he'll be beside himself as well as being beside the car, because it looks so his really good reading of the restart after the safety car, after the full course yellow, had done absolute wonders for him. Moved him up to second place, but in the end it's come unstuck with that front puncture. Couldn't make it back to the pits, and eventually it ripped itself apart. And victory goes to number 17 Aston Martin. We saw that move forward up ahead of the number 32 entry, one of the Cellizlar Racing Mercedes, and Eric Mouet fell down from first in class in the AM class to third by the end of the race. So much incident, and I think there's going to be lots of chat up and down the length of the paddock, because everybody seemed to have something or other that tipped their race one way or the other, or in fact sometimes one way and then the other. But at the end it's Max Cobalt building on the work of Jan Kisiel. Could have been second today, twice pushed back from the lead into that position, but at the end there the car going past the parked Alpine just then. Just dreadful problems leading the race. The Alpine looking good at the front, the big yellow Mercedes in behind the little blue Alpine, and then suddenly kaboof. You could just see a little puff of smoke, the front left tyre starting to deflate, and didn't go a great deal further. The pace has dropped away because Stéphane Lemeray couldn't get it to turn through the sequence of corners, turn 1 to turn 2. By the time they got to turn 5, the tyre was off the rim, the bodywork became battered, and it didn't make it back to the pits. But this is a man who has made it back to the pits. It's Max Cobalt undoing his belts, his harness, getting out of the car, and he and Jan Kisiel will have cause to celebrate, because they are they moved into championship lead yesterday, and now they're very much at the front. Victory came to them. They could have been second, maybe should have been second, but they've grabbed the maximum haul of points. And in comes the Bullet Racing Mercedes into third place in behind them. So a new combination of Bullet Racing, and it's really working dividends. Second place to Ewan Mackay and Ricardo van der Ende. Well, whatever the problem was, they managed to nurse the car to the finish, and a haul of points for second place. Very welcome, when it looks as though if that problem continued to manifest itself, it could have been nothing at all. Tall Scottish figure, Ewan Mackay. Hug for him, he got that car to the finish. So let's go down, because Dakota's about to do some interviews down in Parc Fermé. Let's hear from Max Cobalt and Jan Kisiel, today's winners.
Jan and Max, congratulations. That was a race full of action. What did you think was going to happen in the end there, Max?
Yeah, Jan did a great first stint. And then I came in, little problems with front tires were quite gone already. So yeah, I had to let the Alpine go, but in the end, yeah, he hit a flat tire, which yeah, it's a pity for him, but yeah, good for us, and yeah, we scored some really good points for the championship now, so happy.
Jan, great first stint from you. It's hard managing those tires, isn't it, in this heat?
Yeah, the heat is really enormous, but you know, the car is great, the team did a great job, me and Max also, not bad. Of course, a bit of luck, but we're here leading the championship just to hold it. That's our dream.
Congratulations, guys. Go collect your trophies.
What you have to say, Leipert Motorsport, with this pairing, consistent excellence. They've been right at the sharp end, and at the end of today's race, they are at the sharp end. 6.6 seconds clear of the stop-start at Chris Motorsport M4. Ewan Mackay bringing that home. He'll be pleased. Problems didn't become any worse. Alex Lamberts and Romain Monti, just what a weekend. They joined Bullet Racing. They took victory yesterday afternoon, and they were hunting up the order, came from 18 up to third. Delighted with that. Duncan Houseman, Francesco Pastorelli, fourth for them. Simon Knapp, Alec Udell, fifth. Jan Reinig, Dominic Schrammel, what a run for them, leading sixth place, leading Pro-Am finishers, so they did a really good, solid job. Aston Martin's in the mix in seventh place and eighth place overall. Micah Stanley, Jamie Van den Balk at the end. Pascal Bachmann, 18th place overall, there's being revealed, along with Clement Seiler. Victory in the AM class. Second place in AM class, Jean-Luc Behet and Johan Vannerum. And third place, Eric Mouet and David Loger, who had a really good run, but gradually slipped back with Eric at the wheel in that final stint. Vast majority of cars got to the finish. Plenty of incident throughout that race. Some really good nip and tuck racing, but hats off right now to Leipert Motorsport. Overall victors, and they can enjoy this day as the temperature continues to rise. They don't have to worry about their tyres any longer. They've made it to the finish. The hills behind the Adriatic coast looking an absolute picture in the heat haze. Let's take a look at the points. Kisiel and Cobalt took the championship lead last night, extended it with that victory this morning. Simon Knapp and Alec Udell, another good haul of points for them, keeping their championship hopes alive. And Daniel McKay, Benjamin Lassen lost ground today. Wasn't the day for the McLaren crew. They came here in the championship lead, and look how fast it can change. They're down by 27 points as they lead Misano. Duncan Hausman gaining some more points, but a slow start to the season, but he's now starting to pick up that 4th place today overall, with Francesco Pastorelli gave him a helping hand. But if he carries on in that combination, it looks pretty good that he'll work his way towards the top 10. Now, Pro-Am Cup. Lucy Treffs brought it home in 2nd place in class today with Marcus Pavarud. Marius Zug and Gabriele Piana didn't start the race, so no points at all for them. But the people who made the biggest gain, Dominic Schrammel and Jan Reinig, won the class today, go vaulting up the table to 4th place overall. So great run for them. 6th place, they finished this race. Top Pro-Am runners, really good run in all that traffic for Schwede Motorsport. And of course we have the AM class as well. But let's take a look at the start of the race. Ricardo van der Ende hooked it up rather better than Jan Kizil at the rolling start and got the Equus Motorsport BMW into the lead of the race. Very tight behind, very tidy, very clean racing through turn 1. Often a magnet for accidents, but kept it good through turn 1, turn 2. I can see the bodywork is already loosened the bonnet on the front of the 33 car. We saw it later flapping up, but it was loose at this very early stage of the race. So something on the first lap, but then suddenly the lead went away. The Equus M4 lost 5 seconds in a lap. You can see very nearly lost 3 positions. Just managed to keep his nose in front of the Camaro, and then problems for the really well-driven Ginetta. It stopped on the circuit, caused a full course yellow. Then there was a real scramble getting out the pits. This is 2nd, 3rd and 4th, with the Equus Motorsport car that had fallen to 4th getting back into 3rd. 2 teammates having a little clash, one parked, the other getting away rather badly, and then a brilliant restart from having fallen from 2nd to 4th in that scramble out of the pits. Got it all back in the hands of Stefan Lemery, took the lead of the race, and then that was the change. Chased after the Lippert Motorsport car, having got into 2nd, he got into the lead of the race. Little spin there for number 13 off to the side of the track, and then some great racing down the order with Jan Reinig coming through to take their Pro-Am class lead for Schwede Motorsport. Still leading the race, but then suddenly slowing through turn 1, already with a front left puncture out of the race. Didn't manage to come back to the pits in the hands of Stefan Lemery, but sweeping into the lead went Max Cobold, and there he was to take the finish, the checkered flag at the finish. A little wobble of delight. And now the drivers getting ready for the podiums. The enormously tall figure of Jan Reinig. He's the Pro-Am class leader, leading against the wall. If you weren't here at the start of the race, he's the same height as he was then. He's still 2 meters 13 and clearly a very, very quick driver.
Podio di Misano. Cominceremo con la premiazione Pit Stop Challenge by TM Performance.
So waiting for the 3 podium ceremonies. Plenty of trophies to be presented. Drivers all wanting a nice cold bottle of water and a towel to cool down. It's very, very hot here at Misano. Luckily, each day it seems to have gone down by a degree or 2. Every degree saved is a welcome, particularly when you're running an hour race trying to save your tyres. Well, I think the drivers learnt an awful lot yesterday. More drivers seem to be with cars still handling underneath them in the closing stages today.
Mark Wynn sul podio, eccolo Mark che prende posto. E allora Mina ha i bellissimi e soprattutto corposi assegni. Cominciamo con l'assegno per il terzo posto, 500 euro per Marposa.
And so it's not only the drivers that get the prizes, it's the crews as well. Pit Stop Challenge and Bullet Racing seem to have come out top of that one. What a weekend it's been for them. $1,500, that's a lot of ice creams down the beach. They can head off down there now. The Adriatic Resort absolutely rammed this weekend with holiday makers. So now we're waiting for the first of the driver podiums coming up, the overall podium. Already heard from the winning drivers, get to see them up on the podium very shortly indeed. And no one does champagne with more gusto than people that aren't normally up on the podium. Someone, Lippert Motorsport, they take the overall honours and take a direct blast up the nostrils with champagne. That was smart for a bit, but great fun to see the crews up there. In fact, two of the Leipert Motorsport crews are up there. It was Bullet Racing on the top step, so really good work from the Leipert Motorsport crew, not just quick on the track, but quick in the pit stops as well. So first yesterday, third place today, charging from 18th on the grid. What a run for Alex Lamberts, who kicked off this morning, and Romain Monti, who brought it home at the end of the race. Flip from yesterday. Driver one changes position. Ricardo van der Ende, he's happy as always, and the taller figure of Ewan Mackay out into second place with the stop-start at Chris Motorsport M4. I'm sure it's a problem they'll look into and hopefully sort for future races, because certainly Ricardo van der Ende, having made that brilliant start, got in the lead, was looking good. But Leipert Motorsport, they'll accept the full haul of points today. Jan Kiziel first up onto the top step, and then Max Cobalt extending their championship lead. No wonder it's all smiles up on that top step.
L'inno di Germania, un applauso al podio ed è il momento di chiamare con noi Mr. Peter Koeren, responsabile.
So the German national anthem for the winning team, Leipert Motorsport, and there are our top three finishing crews. So trophies all around, but it's the points that really count for the crew on the top step. It's extended the championship lead of Jan Kiziel and Max Cobalt. No wonder they're looking quietly delighted. They may be hot, but it's been a great weekend for them here, and a great weekend too for the crew on the right-hand side of the podium. Alex Lamberts, you just see him giving applause in the black overalls, and Romain Monti, French racer, who has far more experience, but clearly is passing a lot of that across to such good effect. And Bullet Racing, third season in this championship, and really finding their form. Now the champagne, and yes, a lot more gusto today. Yesterday they were trying to save their overalls and stay out of the heat. Now it matters no longer. Faceful there for Max Cobalt, but he'll take that on board. In fact, sorry, Jan Kiziel through the spray, got the wrong driver. But the winning duo extending their championship lead. So a really fantastic weekend for the Leipert Motorsport pair. Next will be the turn of the Pro-Am runners to come up and make their celebrations up on the podium.
È il momento di portare 9 bottiglie, e quindi per la categoria GT4 Pro-Am, quindi un pilota pro e un pilota gentleman insieme per questa cerimonia, per cui aspettiamo gli scatti flash, ed è il momento di chiamare al terzo posto Light Racing dalla Germania per la categoria Pro-Am, Jan Kasperlik e Nicolas Scholl.
So the pair in third place, Jan Kasperlik and Nicolas Scholl in their Allied Racing Porsche Cayman. They take third in class. This is the Pro-Am class podium. Second place in car, Leipert Motorsport again, Lucy Treffs and Marcus Pavarud. So what a great meeting. Overall victors and second in the Pro-Am class, Leipert Motorsport. But the top step belongs, and with considerable aplomb, to the 777 Schwede Motorsport pairing of Dominic Schrammel and the man who would still be taller than everyone else if he didn't stand on the podium in the first place, Jan Reinig. He's giant, but he is very quick.
Un applauso a un podio tutto tedesco per quanto riguarda il team, ed è il momento di invitare ancora con noi Peter Koeren che rappresenta Pirelli per premiare al terzo posto il team.
So after the national anthem for Schwede Motorsport, It's the presentation of the trophies to the crew in third place in class, in the Pro-Am class. Car number 22, Allied Racing's Jan Kaspelik and Nicholas Schöll. Jan actually rose up to 12th place overall, so the finishers in Pro-Am finished in 6th, 9th and 12th positions. Very good run. At one point we had 3 of the crews in at the top 10, tail end of the top 10. But on the top step of the podium, they're all trying to get on the top step now for the photo, but quiet satisfaction from Jan Reinig there. Looking very happy indeed, along with Dominic Schrammel. Just trying to imagine that pit stop, trying to change from a driver who's about 1.76 m, one would guess, with one that's 2.13 m. But this is the only car that Jan Reinig can fit into, and it's a car that he drives very, very well indeed, and a car right at the front end of the Pro-Am class, the Mercedes AMG. He's hoping that Dominic Schrammel's hair will now grow with a little bit of lubrication. So now preparing for the third and final podium, each one as important as the other for the drivers in question. We're looking for the AM podium. And the top car in the AM class was in 18th position overall. We know that was the number 17 Aston Martin from Street Art Racing, Pascal Bachmann and Clement Seiler. I wonder if Clement's brought his godfather for the weekend, Giacomo Agostini, up to the podium. Can't see him yet.
Cominciamo col chiamare al terzo posto la squadra CMR con Eric de Viglioge. Un bel applauso alla squadra francese.
So CMR, they lost race victory, but at least they've got a placing in the AM class. That's David Loger and Eric Mouet in their Alpine A110. They take the third step on the AM podium. Second place in AM, Salazar Racing Team, Jean-Luc Behet and Johan Vannerum, class leaders. And out onto the top step, having finished in 17th place overall, an Aston Martin crew. Number 17, Street Art Racing, Pascal Bachmann and Clement Seiler. Pascal Bachmann looks particularly excited and delighted up on the top step of the podium. He's the driver on the left with the younger figure of Clement Seiler alongside. So out come the trophies. These will be much valued. It's been a really tough weekend, tough 3 days here for all these crews. Managing the heat, managing the tyres, managing just simply track position on the tight, twisty MISANO World Circuit. 16 turns around its 4.2 kilometre length. Always hard work. 2-3 abreast has been the order of the day. Getting the restarts right as well. For all these drivers, who knows what combination we'll have up on the podium next time around, but victory in class by quite a tidy margin, by about 10-12 seconds for the Aston Martin crew from Street Art Racing. Will they be able to do it again? We'll find out at the very next round. So now it's time for the final podium after the GT4 European Series second race at the MISANO World Circuit. We've got to the end. We've got to the champagne. It's time to wrap it up. Do make sure you come and watch the GT4 European Series again. The racing is fantastic. We've enjoyed it here at MISANO. That's it. Goodbye from me, Bruce Jones.